To speak about our next honoree, you're probably very familiar with her claim to fame on the cinema classic, Oh Yeller. If you please welcome Beverly Washburn to the stage.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody. It's so nice to be here. This is my first time, and I'm just amazed. It is so much fun, and those children, those beautiful children singing, there's hope for our future, that's for sure. It is my honor to introduce my dear friend, and well, we call each other sister because we go way, way back. You will always remember her for her wonderful starring role with Elvis in Kissin' Cousins. And of course, she had her own series, Margie. She's been on so many TV shows, and My Three Sons, I could go on and on talking about that. Not only is she beautiful on the outside, but more importantly, she's beautiful on the inside. She's my dearest friend. I am so honored to have been asked to introduce her, and I know that she's going to cherish this wonderful, prestigious award that you're giving it to her, and you couldn't have picked a better recipient. She is so deserving. You will absolutely love her book. I promise you, it is full of the most incredible, fascinating stories of her life and her film and all the things that she's done growing up in LA. And it is my pleasure and honor to introduce the beautiful and my dearest friend, Cynthia Pepper.
Is this on? Yes. I'm not going to take too long because I didn't know, what I was supposed to do. But I do want to thank you so much, Nick, and for being here. This is our first time here. And, the honor is just, I've never had an honor like this before, and I'm just so very happy and grateful for it. Beverly and I go back, I went to her 18th birthday. I'm 3 years older, and we hadn't seen each other for years, and now we've been together in Vegas, and now we're like sisters, and it's wonderful how life is. I want to say just one thing. In my book, it's called Pigtails, Presley, and Pepper. And pigtails, because I wore pigtails as a kid in New York. And then in the Presley, of course, I worked with Elvis Presley, and Pepper is my last name. Actually, my real last name is Culpepper, and my dad was in show business. He was in vaudeville, and he went overseas with Bob Hope and entertained the troops with Francis Langford and Jerry Colonna and so forth. And my mother was a Ziegfeld dancer and Billy Rose. But I have to tell you this, but my dad's first wife was Ginger Rogers. Yes, has nothing to do with me. I just think it's cool. My dad liked dancers, but when I was doing the pilot of Margie on ABC. I was 12. No, I was 19, almost 20. I met her at the 20th Century Fox wardrobe department. We were both doing a pilot, and I said to her, I said to myself, "There's Ginger Rogers. I've got to meet her." So you know how when you say things because you're nervous and something, like right now probably, I went up to her and I said, "Miss Rogers?" And she says, "Yes." I said, "My name is Cynthia Pepper. I believe you know my father." She knew it's my father. She was married to the guy. Of course she did. And she looked at me quizzically and she says, "Well, how is the dear boy?" And I said, "He's fine." And after that, we went to lunch a few times in the commissary. But I didn't intend to write a book. I've never written a book before, but I do a lot of conventions and festivals, especially Elvis, who was a wonderful man, and I got to work with him and be a friend in 1963, Kissin' Cousins. And I've had people, come up and say, "Well, you, I guess, led an interesting life." Well, everyone's got a story to tell. Everyone does. So I said, "Yeah, maybe." So I have a dear friend in Toronto, Canada, who we were talking, and he said, "Let's do it." So we did it. It took us 2.5 years. We took our time. We self-published, and we did it over the computer and the phone. And I said, I want to go in the beginning, kind of, because it starts in New York. I was on Broadway when I was 3 with Julie Harris. I played the youngest daughter, and it's called It's a Gift. And I got kicked out because I wasn't with Equity, or whatever, I think it was, or after, because I wasn't quite old enough. But I did do a few scenes. And I just remember how when I was 3 years old, and I remember one scene I had, they picked me up in the play, picked me up like this. And I was so modest there that I was pushing my skirt down, and like the biggest laugh. And to this day, I'm always careful, that I don't show too much. But anyway, so I did that, and my dad was overseas, and my mother quit her dancing, and I went to Hollywood High, and went to school with a couple of people you might know, Mike Farrell and Linda Evans, Stephanie Powers, and some other people. And I had stories to tell, and I hope that if you haven't read it or haven't bought, I hope you do. And if I see you again, and you get it from Amazon, then I'll certainly write, signature the book. But I would never think that I would get I was going to do my speech and thank the Academy, my agent, my mother and dad, and I do definitely want to thank my dear sister Beverly. It was so sweet. It surprised me. But it's a good read. It's about 300 pages or so. It's got something with, I'll tell you a real quick story. And it had to do with Elvis, but has to do with someone else. My dad, like I said, was in the business, and he knew a lot of people on the Giant set, the movie Giant, with Elizabeth Taylor, James Dean, Rock Hudson. So he went over to Warner Brothers. It was 1955, and it was my 15th birthday. So I get a phone call, and it's Daddy. We called him Daddy. He's from the South. So he said, Cynthia? And I said, yes. He said, someone wants to talk to you. And I went, okay. So the person gets on the phone, and he said, hi, this is James Dean. He said, I heard it was your birthday. Is that right? I went, yes. And he said, well, I just want to wish you happy birthday. And he said, here's your daddy, and took the phone back to my father. And 2 weeks later, he was gone, in this crash. But I tell that story because it has to do with Elvis. Elvis used to play tricks on me, and I flip him in the movie. I flip him over like this, and he pretended he was dead one time. We were rehearsing it. I went, oh my God, I've killed Elvis. I have to go into witness protection or something, get out of town. And he just kept me stewing. He said, I got your little speckled pup. So I said, how am I going to get him back? Because he loved James Dean. Elvis was a better actor than they let him allow to be. And he loved James Dean. So I said, what am I going to do? He loved practical jokes, but he didn't like it on him. I said, well, I'll just tell him this story about James Dean and say, did something you didn't get to do. And I did that for about 2 weeks of saying that to him. He said, will you be quiet? I'm tired of hearing about it. But he was real good-spirited about it. And he said, tell me, what was he like? He was a big fan. What was his voice like? I said, I don't know. That was 50 years ago. No, it wasn't that long ago then. But so I've had a wonderful experience. I'm doing now festivals and so forth, talking about Elvis, and I do other things. I'm a big animal lover, and so is Beverly. If we see a stray animal, boy, it's in the car right away, trying to find a home for it. And so I just want to thank you. I didn't know I was going to make a speech. I thought I was just going to do my thank you for the Academy and, make a little joke. But I do appreciate it. It touches me deeply because I'm going to get emotional. Because I've never had this honor before for this. So I just want to thank you, and I want to, God bless you all, and have safe travels when you go home, okay? Thank you so much. Oh, I will be at the autograph. Both Beverly and I will be at the autographs, and come by, and my books are there. I have a few books there. I couldn't bring them all, but thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.